moving forward, every month for me is a chapter. I'm making this distinction right now. Chapters are on my own time, and it's whenever I feel as if the next cycle is beginning. At the beginning of it, I was going in with the intention that I was going back to work March the 4th, but I got hit with something crazy. It was in between February the 21st and the 28th, where I got an email from the I guess the organization that handles leaves. I got a call from them saying, hey, your first day is gonna be on March 4th. Your first day back to work is gonna be on March 4th. And I said, cool, like, is there anything else that I could possibly need? Like, cause this has been like an ongoing process. I've been on leave since August. Long story short, they said no, I was good. So I'm thinking on March the 4th, I'm supposed to be going back to work and everything finna change. I'm finna get some of this money back and I'm gonna be good. But instead, on March 3rd, I get an email from my store manager saying that I'm terminated. Throughout that process, something didn't get approved right. And my reasoning against that was just to figure out why I wasn't told anything. Like if I was gonna get fired or if there wasn't enough information, then why wasn't I being told that? And I never really got a clear answer on why I wasn't notified or why I was even being held accountable for this certain time period. So it was just a mess. I tried to get it reviewed, went through that whole process, and essentially nobody was trying to see my side. So I ended up getting let go. The way my mind was going, I said I wanted to get into taking pictures more and just learning how to photograph sports. So I started to really lean into that direction. The day after I was essentially terminated from my job, had a random opportunity to kind of be behind the scenes during the shoot for a project that Say Less Projects was running. I was invited to the shoot from a former coworker and friend of mine. I was just kind of learning behind the scenes, also giving pointers and just making sure that I'm not dead weight in the process. Eventually that led to another opportunity to see if I wanted to shoot some footage of him running. And honestly, like at this point, sports is what I'm trying to get into. You know, running is in that aspect of what I'm trying to do. So it just made sense. We go out there and shoot. I end up getting a bunch of clips of him running. So before I started to shoot these videos of him running, there were a couple issues that I had ran into prior to me doing this. One thing that I had noticed about a lot of the things that I had shot is that a lot of the footage that I was shooting looked kind of smeary, and it didn't look like clean footage. And to me, I didn't like it. I'm a perfectionist. I'm just like, man, like there's got to be a way for me to try to go around this and or fix it. So before I shot this, I went in with the intention to try something different. So a lot of these clips I shot in 24, but I also wanted to experiment with 30 frames per second to see if that would help. Another thing that I will say that I experimented with as well is file format. And this is just really with anybody that's shooting Sony. On top of adjusting my frame rate, XAVCHS, that was the first one that I had started shooting on originally with my Sony a6700, and when I first got my a7 IV, I started to shoot on that as well. I also decided to shoot in the highest format possible because to me, why not? I had the storage, or I have the storage. I want my footage to be clean, and I don't want anything to mess with how this is looking. So I jumped from HS all the way to SI. And if I'm being completely honest, if you really start to compare the file size, there's really not too much difference between the two if you're shooting short interval clips. And even if you're shooting longer clips, you'll notice a difference. But let's just say we got a 3-minute video, right? On HS, you may have like a 2.5 gig video from that 3 minutes. From SI, you're gonna get a 3 gig video from there. So to me, like, that's honestly not that bad. Like, it's really not that much of a difference. Like, I will risk that space to get the look I want because that's what's most important to me. So if you're shooting any type of 10-bit footage, whether you are shooting on the HS file format or the SI file format, I personally don't think it makes that much big of a difference in file size if you're shooting in intervals and or you're shooting for things that are under 5 minutes or less in one video. That's just my personal opinion. I'm gonna continue to use it because it does not matter how much space I continue to use, even with what we're dealing with now with the storage. thing going on, but I will risk that space to get the look I want. That's where I'm at right now. I don't care. Take the space. I just want it to look how I want it to look. So I pull up early in the morning to go shoot. First couple clips that I shot, I realized the footage was really shaky, and that is something else that I realized I have as well. I think I probably have some of the shakiest hands on this earth. For a lot of these shots, I turned on either active or dynamic active, and I think a good amount of these came out really well. Changing the frame rate and file format did help a little bit for me, especially when it came to exporting files. The very first clip that he posted to Instagram, it just took off. I think right now it's sitting at around 700k views on Instagram, which is probably the most views that I have ever gotten on anything I've ever shot. I think the footage actually came out a lot better compared to other times when I was using the file format HS. But also, man, shout out to him. The quote in itself, the caption, the hook, whatever you want to call it, the hook was great. That in combination with how it looked, you got a great video, great interaction. Shout out to Keegan for letting me shoot him running that day and just continue to let me experiment a little bit more with my craft. So cons were footage was still a little bit shaky. I realized I suck at digital photography. Photos were out of focus. The editing just wasn't there. Like there are certain things that like I do when I'm editing a video to get the look, and I realized that I don't really know how to do that at all with digital photography. So it kind of showed me how much more I need to catch up in that realm of things. After I had got done shooting with Keegan that day, I had somewhat of a break in between. During this whole time frame, the only thing that I'm really messing with is my aperture. Normally when I'm controlling aperture, I'm staying around f4 or f8. There was no in between for a lot of this stuff, and the reason being is because I felt like those were two good points to kind of give me just a little bit of background blur or include everything and just have it clear as possible. As I'm kind of going through these practices and figuring out what's working, I think just trying to stick really strict on just changing aperture and maybe just changing the amount of light I'm letting in with my ND filter helped me out a lot in these situations. And I think that's why a lot of this BTS footage came out as well as it did. So with that being said, this is when it really started to ramp up. So I want to say that following Sunday is when the Indy car racing event was going on. All right, my main goal going into these racing events was literally just to get some great pictures and some great slow motion shots. And if I'm being honest, all of that shit came out trash. All of it was choppy. The pictures weren't that good because I wasn't able to really focus in on the cars as much as I wanted to. A lot of this was just a miss, but I had another opportunity to shoot at the Texas 2K26 racing event, and this is when everything got a little bit better. I got to slow down a little bit more and really focus on just taking pictures of cars. I think these images are okay, but they're still pretty flat and they could use a lot more subject separation. A little bit of that has to do with the environment that I was in, so I won't blame my skill set too much on some of this. But the good news is there's a great start right in front of me. I think I did pretty well with what I had and with the amount of experience that I had. But it was a great learning opportunity because it helped me realize two things. It helped me realize that if I really want to get better shots, then I'm gonna obviously have to get closer. But it also helped me realize that at this point I was hitting a wall, not just with where I was at with skill, but also with my equipment. So that's when I came to the conclusion that I needed to get this. I went ahead and invested in one of these. And the reason being is because if I'm going to not be directly by the track, or I need to be at a distance for any form of fashion, this is gonna help me get closer and get better shots. There was a lot of valuable experience that was gained, a lot of perspective gained, a lot of practice that I'm glad I was able to get, and I think I got a really great starting point.